So I'm ready to try drilling this thing out. I'm going to try it right now. I started imagining maybe there's no tip in there and I imagined the whole thing, you know. But I'm pretty sure I saw it in there and I'm pretty sure I pushed it right to the bottom. And so let's give this a try. Oh, so I can do it so that the camera can pick it up there. Oh, look at that. Did you see that come out of there? All sorts of little plastic pieces. Oh, look at that. I got the bottom. Oh, ha, ha, ha. I got it out of there. Hey, let's finish the job. I think that did it. Nothing like a good night's sleep to figure something out. I had another thing like this happen to me with the brakes, just with the brakes in another place. I was in Ottawa with my son, and we were visiting my parents. And what happened? Oh yes, I had the truck right in the mechanics a few days before, and on the way into town, the clutch pedal started getting really floppy. And you know, I had to start pushing deeper and deeper to get it to clutch. And by the time I got and parked to my parents' place, there was just no way I was driving anywhere with that thing. The clutch was dead. I mean, I needed fluid. I needed something. I looked underneath. This thing was leaking. I needed to have some fluid and put some fluid in there and reprime the thing. I couldn't fix the leak, but I could fill up the tank. And then I would probably get me home to the mechanics who could fix the leak. So we went. My dad says, "Well, oh, we'll go and get you know, some oil right at the garage locally here." So he drove me down to get some oil, and I had the cap with me. I couldn't find the cap by the time we got back. We ended up going to a frantic search to go back to the mechanics, the garage place, and look for the cap there. It wasn't there. And his car, my dad's car, was immaculate. All that was there was a little sheet of paper. And he says, finally he said, "Well, move that sheet of paper. Maybe it's underneath that." I said, "How could it get there, you know?" Anyways, it was there. I bought the oil, I put it in, it filled up right away. I mean, right away it fills up to the top. So the container was full, and we tried priming it, but nothing worked. And finally I had to give up on it, exhausted and tired. And my parents set up a bed, and I slept there with my son. And while I was lying there in bed, I couldn't sleep. I was just my mind. And I sort of figured out, wait a minute. It just flashed in my head, you know, wait! You know, I know what it is! And it's just that I'd seen it before in another brake thing, that they had a rubber membrane, sort of like a rubber cap inside the cap that would expand as the liquid went down in the container, in order to make sure that no air got into the system. It would just make sure that there was no air being sucked in. And I thought, there's got to be a membrane like that inside the container. And it's just that thing of flashing on it like that at night, you know. And it explained why it had filled up so quickly. And sure enough, in the morning when I went down there, I looked, and I just pulled it out, and there was a little thing like a test tube. It looked like a black rubber test tube, and it just went down into the thing, and it was totally full of fluid in there, and there was nothing in the other thing. So we primed it. We got the clutch working enough. I figured it was a funny drive home too, because what I did is we got onto I figured I had just enough, again, I had to press that clutch pedal right down to the bottom to get it to work. But I figured I might only need to use the clutch about 2 or 3 times, and then I could get to the Queensway. And from the Queensway to Brockville, I didn't have to use my clutch at all. So I could just drive. So that's what I did. I got back there, and arriving in Brockville was an experience of trying. I said, I am driving directly to the mechanics. And I went directly to the mechanics, and they fixed it. It was just a stupid leak in there. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't tighten it. The thing has baffled me. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to these stupid brakes. I have drilled out the stupid little plug. The plastic is gone. I'm going to make sure. Yep, the air comes through. And I'm just going to do a bit of extra vigilance. I'm going to drill in there a few more times just to make sure there's nothing left, because I wouldn't want a little piece to go in there and block that, which is what could happen. Anyways, so apart from that, we can now proceed to finishing off this side's brakes, which is just a quick check on a few things, and then go on to the other side and get that done. So here's the result of yesterday's industriousness. As you can see, everything in there looks nice and clean and new. I've got the new springs, the springs from hell, and everything is connected. Those worked really well with the little clip tool. I got the emergency brake stupid thing in the back there. Oh, and look at that! It's not engaged properly on this side. Well, I'm glad I checked in here, because then that's a real problem. I have to go in there and fix that. And that may be a problem in itself, because I've got the spring on at the bottom, so that means I'm going to have to take the spring off to fix that, I think. Which, I think that taking that spring off is not too bad. So, I guess my job here isn't finished yet. Alright, let's get at it. Here's the offending part. You can see it right there. It's not lodged. It's supposed to be right in the back over here. So, I've got to get this lifted up and put into there. It looks quite jammed in there. So I'm going to try to put it in there first without taking the spring off, and if I don't succeed with that, then I'll take the spring off. Probably I should just go straight to taking the spring off, but I'd rather not muck around with those springs if I can avoid it. So that thing has a weird spring. This thing has a weird spring at the other end. I don't know if I can show you there, but this spring is sort of a twisty spring, and it really wants to twist, and it's very awkward to work with. It looks like that might not be quite engaged and sliding in there. So it's because it's completely jammed on an angle. Okay, so I'm going to try to fix that. So I finally got the spring out. This part fell off, the adjusting screw. So I've got to reinstall that and put once the other plate is properly adjusted, I got to do that. I have to say, I didn't film it again, but it's just unbelievable how difficult these springs are. I'm convinced it takes more than 100 pounds of actual foot-pounds to pull those springs apart. It is just unbelievable. So I'm going to really try to show this to you on the other side when I take them off. And taking them off is easier than putting them on, I'll tell you. But it's still not easy. Anyway, because I just took this one off and it was everything I had to do it. I was absolutely exhausted. My arm was cramping. Maybe I'm out of shape. I don't know. Anyways, I've got to put this back on, so let me fiddle with this, and we'll see what I can get done here. Alright, well, I'm about to put this spring back in. And in the video, I've watched it, how they do this. All they do is just take a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, grab it, and hook it in. And they do it very easily and very straightforwardly. It's a smooth move. Let's give it our shot. I hope my arm doesn't let go and smash into the camera, because we've got the camera pretty close up here. Okay. No, I'm feeling my... Oh, that still looks good. Okay, attempt number 1. Spring just flew out. Let's go try that again. And unseated the device underneath here as well. That was all I had there. Again, I'm just trying to make a point here that it's not exactly as advertised. And this time, I don't know why I always have to refigure out this thing every single time. Okay. Let's put that in there. Open up. Close up. There we go. That's closed. Okay. That is in place. Seems perfect. So this time, just because just sick and tired of this thing falling out, and put a couple of things of tape around it. Hopefully that'll hold it in place if I go flying with the spring. Alright, so maybe those pliers are just never going to hold. So I'm going to see if I can get myself a better pair of pliers for that. All right, here I am. Yes! Oh. And that's it. That's how you get one of those springs in. Isn't that easy? Well, we're ready to start again on the other side now. Take off the cap. Last time I started off with my air tool to try to remove these bolts, and I failed. I used heat, I did all sorts of things, and nothing worked, and eventually I just came with the bar and I was able to lever them off. So I'm going to just start off with the levering. Of course, I have a feeling I'm going to have to drop this thing down to the ground. Because the wheel is rolling, and yeah, I'm just going to have to drop it. So I'll stop this and go underneath and drop this to the ground a little bit. Let's just try it with this. See if this will work. I don't like this at all. Okay. I've got everything in here except the bar that I need. Once more, into the breech. They're all loose. Okay. Now I've got to raise the truck back up. That wheel is off the ground. Let's do it just one more. That is it. That seems pretty locked on too. That's held things along with a little bit of lubricant. And in my mind, the only way to get this free, and it's difficult, is with two good solid straight screwdrivers. One. There's a second right there. Alright. Let's see what it says here. Oh, that was good. Let's continue that way. The reason for two is so you can work on different sides. Keep pressure on one side. Oh, these brakes are... I was wondering about whether or not I should do this one, but it seems to me like the answer is yes. Both of them are seized. All right. Oh, I got a little slide there. See, bit by bit, you get it to slide up. It's quite crooked because you can't take this out crooked. It has to come out straight. No use trying to do that with my hands. It's just that I've reached the end of efficiency with the screwdriver. Just reach anymore. It's really sliding bad on those brakes. There, I think I got it loosened a little bit further. It is coming out. There she goes. Yes. Fighting to the end. Rusted all the heck. Alright. Are you still filming this? Sure hope so. Hey, every step is difficult in this here. You're fighting all the way. Alright. So this one is reversed. What on the other side was on this side is not on this side, because this is the rear. That's the thing to remember, because there are rear and front parts. Okay. So we've got to take off those brakes, those springs, and there's no way I'm going to do them sitting down, I think. And let's give this a shot. This looks so fun. I'm so looking forward to doing this. Alright. Okay. Don't have enough to grab there. Has to go for a finer pair of pliers. I was able to lift it, so I think I'll be able to get it off. Slipped. Okay. One. Okay. Got it. Well, that wasn't too bad. Woo! Woo! And just because when I take these springs off, I just laid them down in the position they were in when I took them out, on the ground underneath where they were. So that way, when I get the new springs, I won't have any trouble about where to place them. That's how you do that with the tool. There we go. And that effectively undoes everything. This thing is seized on. So, that off. Take that off. Now I got the clip left for the emergency brake. Oh man. Give me a hammer, man. Jesus.
No, you son of...
So the camera power shut off there. Sorry about that, but I just put in the power pack, so it's gonna give power. Anyways, forget about that. So anyways, I've got everything removed, and now I'm about to use this brake cleaner to spray off all the dirt and the junk from behind here. And believe it or not, it actually works. Put a pen underneath to grab most of what falls off, but it evaporates very quickly. This time I'm wearing glasses because some of that stuff does come out with a lot of spray power, and it certainly ends up spraying back into your eyes. And I had pretty sore eyes last night. I don't know if that was the cause, but there I see some spray just going back there. I guess that's enough of that. Okay. I'll just help it along a little bit. Don't clean that too much. I don't know if you can see, but take a look at that, eh? Alright, that's enough of that. Get off. Okay, so now it's I got a little pin here. Get maybe your pan out of the way. Right now, down in the back here. I'm sure that's going to be in the way in just a few seconds. Okay, so the next step is I've got to take this guy off, and that's all at the back there, and it's really hard to get the camera in there. But I can tell you that I'm going to be playing with the brake line, and it looks just as bad as the other one, and I bought a replacement for it. So the brake line is right behind here. So anyway, so I'm going to go and remove this piece, disconnect everything, and probably end up then having to take off that brake line and connect it on, put on the new one. But this one is easier, it's shorter, and there's only a few straightforward bends. So I say, I'm wondering what problem will happen. Maybe I won't be able to loosen them up or whatever. In fact, following that logic, I don't have to take it off. I'm throwing this away. I'm throwing the cable away. So I'm just going to cut the cable, and I'm just going to proceed to removing this thing. I am not even going to try to remove that cable. I'm just going to cut it. I think that is a great idea. Time saver. Alright, let's go at it. Make sure that I'm doing the right thing. It does look still pretty good, generally speaking. But let's give some solid moves. There's some cracks here going on. Alright, it earns an attempt to take it off. But I'm not hopeful. I think that it'll seize up and it'll start twisting the cable, and I'm not going to be able to do anything with that. So we know what we're looking for. Is that silly 7/16 and 3/8. There she goes. Okay, let's see what the pipe is doing. Looks like it's moving in the wrong way. No, I'm afraid that this is not worth the effort. I have gotten it loose, but all it's doing is twisting the pipe, and eventually that pipe is just going to break. There's no way around it. It's not releasing from the pipe. So I've got the replacement pipe. I may as well put it in. I'm going this far. Why stop here, eh? Okay, here we go. There we go. Cut off. Alright. That's number one. Another advantage with that is it doesn't twist the pipe all out of shape. So when I look at it to bend the other one sort of like it, I'll have an idea, a better idea of what I'm doing. The other one was a bit more difficult because everything was cut off and twisted. Try to loosen these guys up. Yep. These are coming. I sort of like the idea of replacing everything here, because it's all new. No fighting with this stupid rust. That was one. Oh, there we go. Oh, that one came up easily. That's an indication it's loose. When the ratchet stops clicking, tells you the nut's loose enough to do by hand. Okay, so we need these pins. I'm going to keep those for the next job. And now we got to take that guy out. And the other one came out pretty easy. There we go. And leave that in the position it came out. That spray sure comes out a lot of force. All right. So now we've got to put in the new one, so let me go get that and I'll come back and put it in. I went in my garage and looked everywhere for it, couldn't find it, and came back out here because it was sitting right here, right next to me. There you go. That's the replacement tool we need, or piece that we need. Brake cylinder or something. Anyways, but I realized that I cannot connect this until I change my brake line, because the brake line connects to this, and it's easier to connect the brake line to this when this is not connected to that, and you get more play. Anyway, so I'm going to have to go underneath, take off the other side of the brake line that I cut, and then install a new brake line. So let's get to that. I hope that turned and didn't slip. Fuck off. There. Just in case. Alright. This time I'm crawling forward, not on my back. Okay, here we go. Alright, here we are. Okay, so how much do we have to open that up here? That seems potentially alright. Oh, she's gonna be... Oh, no, not too bad. Oh, I dreaded this so much. She really is seized. And it looks surprisingly different than the other one. Oh, penetrating oil. That thing has got to come off. So I was loose with it before, so I can tell it was loose. Very hard to stop that. Okay, enough. Oh, she's loose. She's loose, guys. Folks. Okay, let's get that off. So my next question is this the same size as what I bought? I'm back. Hey guys. So, the brake line that I had, the end didn't fit. They didn't have one that fit in the right size. So I got this little piece right here, which I'm going to put in to that, and it's going to allow me to put that on. So let's go do that right now. Success. It's going in. That's tight. Alright. It'd be great to have a wrench that would do that, but I don't think I do. Come on, man. That is too tight. Ridiculous. Okay. Alright. Let's try that again. Let's find a position here. And see, I don't have a garage. I don't have the luxury of standing up underneath. I'm crawling underneath my truck doing this. And I can't see anything right. And I don't know about you, but English wrenches, for whatever, the adjustable wrenches, for whatever reason, I've never been able to remember what direction to turn to tighten the wrench. I always do it the wrong way. Always. So every time I go to tighten it, I loosen it. Okay, I'm not going any tighter with that. Okay. If that leaks, I don't know what's going on with the world. Okay, that's it. Enough of that. Okay. So let's see if we can proceed to that next step. Might have to bend that cable a bit, but I think generally speaking, let's get out of here. Jesus. Getting caught.